Welcome back to What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur. I'm Vincent A. Lanci.
And I'm Allan Dib.
Welcome to episode number 100. Thank you to all who continue to listen to this platform. I am excited to introduce an extraordinary entrepreneur as a special episode for number 100. That's the sound of you investing in your future. Let's go. Whether you're already an entrepreneur or looking to start your journey tomorrow, or are just someone who needs a little extra motivation to get through the day, this is the perfect podcast for you. Each week, I will interview a different entrepreneur from across the globe. I will continue to offer episodes in all industries to provide you with many different perspectives. You never know which motivational journey will inspire you most. Each guest will take you through their story and help you learn from their successes and lessons learned. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate the show 5 stars and continue listening by subscribing. My guest on the show today is someone I met by taking a chance to reach out to him. As I began working on my latest project, Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health, I wanted to dedicate enough time to properly market the book. I purchased a book off Amazon called One Page Marketing Plan by Allan Dib, and I can say how much it impacted my endeavors, where I had to reach out to him, say thanks, and invite him on the show. Today's guest helps business owners develop their in-house marketing capabilities to scale rapidly. In fact, he has helped over 250,000 businesses around the world clarify their marketing strategy using a tool he created that I read and am now utilizing in the One Page Marketing Plan. He's a serial entrepreneur, rebellious marketer, and a best-selling author. In his 20 years as an entrepreneur, he has built several million-dollar businesses in the IT, telecommunications, and marketing fields. It is now my pleasure to introduce Allan Dib. Allan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, Vincent, wonderful to be on.
Yeah, would you mind please introducing yourself to our listeners and previewing your story without giving away too much of your entrepreneurial journey?
Okay, fair enough. Look, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I help people develop their own internal marketing capability. So kind of the opposite of a marketing agency. A marketing agency will do your marketing for you. I'm the opposite. I help you develop your own marketing skills and marketing capabilities. So that's a little bit about me. I've had a journey in building, growing, and exiting several tech businesses very successfully. And these days, I coach and teach entrepreneurs all over the world, which is a real privilege.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into the story. I have so many questions to ask just based off that, but I don't want to give too much away. So I think we have to hop into the big 5, Allan. On each episode, my guest and I will go over this series of 5 questions to help you, the listeners, learn what it's really like to be an entrepreneur. You ready to go?
Ready to go. Let's do it.
Great. So when did you realize that you either weren't happy with what you were doing or you just needed some kind of change to truly start your entrepreneurial journey? Please share your story.
Yeah, so I would say I'm one of those people who are never happy with where they are. So for me, that's an ongoing journey. Every year I plan the next year and figure out where does my business need to go. And really, I do change and I pivot my business over time. So when I look at what my business was in year 1, it's different to what it was in year 2 to year 3 and what it's happening now. And we're now planning out 2021, and I think it's going to be a very, very different business. And I think you need to do that, because if you get too comfortable, it's a dangerous place to be. A lot of people are hoping and wishing for the days before the pandemic, or hoping and wishing for the days before the internet and competition and things like that. And those days are never going to come back. And we don't need those days to come back. We just need to pivot and figure out where are things headed. So one of the ways to really kill a business is to keep it stagnant and to keep it where it currently is, and not have that ability to really pivot and go where the market's going and where technology is going and where changes in the marketplace are going. So for me, I'm really never happy of where I am. I'm always looking at the next level. And I guess that's partly an advantage and partly something where I've got to kind of stop and smell the roses and enjoy the success I've had to date as well.
Well, great lesson there. As entrepreneurs, we always have to keep learning. We have to keep growing with the changing times, especially now with COVID. But I would like to backtrack with you a little, Allan. We're talking about pivoting between business ideas and businesses. Let's describe your first business when you started being an entrepreneur into your second business. Let's describe that transition.
Yeah, so almost every business that I've spun off, except for the first business, has been like a little side project in the beginning. So my first business was an IT managed service provider, so basically providing help desk services and IT integration and things like that. And so I was just a geek. I was a tech geek, and I enjoyed technology. You know, my bedroom looked like the Starship Enterprise console. So that was my first business. But every business after that initially started as a little bit of a hobby, a little bit of a side project. I think they call it a skunk works kind of project. And so I started messing around with telecommunications technology at the time. It's called voice over IP technology. And it was a little bit of a side project, a little bit of a skunk works. And then that spun off into my second business. And so my second business, we grew that from 0 to 4 years later, being in the top 100 fastest growing companies in the country. And then I sold that off. So Successwise, which is my current business, was a little bit of a side project at the time. I was doing a little bit of blogging, a little bit of writing on marketing and business, and now that's my main enterprise at the moment. So I'm always working on a little bit of a side project, which may become my next venture.
I love all that advice. Thank you so much for that answer. But on your entrepreneurial path, Allan, it's been quite a few years. You've mentioned how you've been exiting companies you've built successfully. What are one or two of the most difficult parts of being an entrepreneur for you?
The most difficult parts, I would say, is it's kind of lonely, right? Because like even when you have employees, employees have a very different mindset. 5 o'clock means something very different to an employee than it does for an entrepreneur, right? So 5 p.m. for an entrepreneur means that that's when the day is starting and when you can really start concentrating on the real work. Whereas for employees, it's kind of the end of the day, they can switch off, all of that sort of stuff. I think it's quite lonely as an entrepreneur, and you need to fix that because that's a dangerous place to be. So you need to work with a peer group. You need to work maybe with a coach or a mentor, someone who can really understand where you are right now, some of the challenges that you're having, because you can be. I used to be up at 3 a.m. worried about how am I going to make payroll this month or this week, and that's a legitimate concern of someone who's an entrepreneur. I believe the loneliness factor is a dangerous place to be, and that's something difficult as an entrepreneur. I think also starting a new business, getting your first few clients, client number 1, client number 2, number 3, number 4. So there's a lot of testing. There's going to be a lot of possibility where you need to pivot, change the offer, change the way that you're presenting things. So that can be a little bit difficult. And a lot of people kind of fizzle out there. They're like, this isn't working or this isn't flying. And sometimes it's just a matter of sticking with it a little bit longer, but maybe sticking with it, but making a few changes, a few pivots. Even when I started this business, I had in mind that I would be essentially like a marketing agency. We would do people's websites, all of that. I did that a few times, and I really hated it. Wasn't really good at it. It wasn't my thing. And so we've pivoted almost every year. Now, sometimes they're major pivots, and sometimes they're minor pivots. But over time, as we get better and more information, I want to make sure that I'm heading in the right direction where we can take this business to a place that's fun, but also profitable and that serves our clients really, really well.
Yeah, I think that's another great piece of advice because things are always changing, even my own personal journey. I'm on year 7 of my business endeavors as an entrepreneur, and I'm really just starting to get a little traction. After all these years, there's been so many moments where it was easy to give up, and it's obviously very easy to do so. Just say, this isn't worth it, too much no, 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 no. but
Mm.
now I've pivoted into more of the mental health realm. I've been niching it down over the years, and now we're entrepreneurship and mental health. And my new project, Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health, I think will be filling a huge need as we're coming out of this pandemic, this lockdown, and there's a lot of unanswered questions, and people's mental health was drastically affected because
Mm.
of human communication every single day out in the workplace to being alone in your house, can't leave. But
Yep.
great advice there, Alan. What was one of your greatest failures or lessons learned, and what did it teach you?
Yeah, one of the biggest lessons and failures was in my first business, where it took me a good decade to learn marketing, and it was because I did it the difficult and stupid way, which was through trial and error. I wasted a lot of time just trying and testing things myself when I could have hired a mentor or a coach much earlier and got them to take me through the journey and got them to take me through where I needed to go. So at the time, I thought about it. I thought, hey, this is expensive and this is going to take a lot of time, but really took a lot more time, a lot more money than it needed to, because I failed to seek help with where I needed to go. So I would have done that a lot sooner, saved a lot of time, saved a lot of money. A mentor of mine used to say, "Pay once, cry once." Right. So
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe in that. So now, whenever I have the opportunity to hire an expert to guide me through somewhere that I don't know where I'm going, I do that. I invest in that. I invest in myself, and that makes a lot of difference. It means I can move a lot faster. It means I can make fewer mistakes, and having a guide along the journey is just so important. It's kind of like, if you're going up Everest by yourself or with a Sherpa, right? That's going to make a very, very big difference to your possibility of success. So I see it that way.
I love that. Taking advice from people, realizing you can't do everything on your own, I think is another very valuable lesson. Having the conversations, learning from the people you need to. But Alan, if you could choose to have a conversation and learn from any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who would that entrepreneur be?
I bet everybody says Steve Jobs, right?
You
But
get a bunch of Steve Jobs, a bunch of Elon Musk, but I have to give my guests credit that there are many unique choices, and even if they do choose those entrepreneurs, they usually do give a great reason.
yeah, yeah. No, I think some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs are in the past, but I think someone like Henry Ford would be an amazing person to
Great
speak to.
selection.
So yeah, he really revolutionized a whole industry, and he was really at the turning point of where technology was. I think also another really interesting one would be Ben Franklin. I mean, he's not well known as an inventor necessarily, but he
Oh yeah.
really created very, very smart mind. Someone he I think he formed some of the very first entrepreneurial mastermind groups at the time he was alive. Invented a lot of different things. Had an amazing mind, amazing point of view. So I would definitely love to connect with him at some stage.
Yeah, well, I want to delve a little deeper with you, Alan. I'm intrigued by those answers. Where would these meetings take place? If you could pick a meeting spot, maybe place in the world for either of these guys, where would it be?
Hey, I'd have him over at my place. Come to my crib, guys. We'll chill out here and we'll talk business.
I love that. Bring them to the home and
Yeah.
dig into their brains a little. But let's look into the future here, Alan. We're going to look 1 year and 5 years out. Where do you see yourself in all of your entrepreneurial endeavors 1 year from today?
So that's a really good time to ask, because right now my team and I are planning this out, where we're really wanting to scale out some of our one-to-many products. So a lot of our delivery right now is one-on-one. So we do one-on-one coaching, both myself and my team, and that's great. We really have a positive effect on entrepreneurs, and we make transformational journeys there, and I love that. But the challenge I put to my team is, how can we do this on a one-to-many basis, so where we can affect a lot of people. And so one of the things that we've been really rolling out is a certification program where we certify other coaches and consultants and marketers in the one-page marketing planning process, where we're delivering a membership program. So we've got an online course as well. So we're really scaling up the one-to-many model where we can affect a lot of people at a time. We're also going to run a campaign where we're literally going to give away for free the paperback version of the book to 1 million entrepreneurs worldwide. So that's something that we'll
Wow.
as an initiative as well. So I'm really excited by those things.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing the newsreels from that and seeing how many
Yeah.
people you positively affect. But let's delve even deeper now. 5 years, what do you got going on?
5 years, who knows? I mean, can you imagine 18 months ago, you ask people, what are you going to do in 5 years? And then the whole pandemic comes and all of that. But basically, I think there's going to be a software play in the future, and I believe potentially one day we could even pivot into being a piece of software where we're able to guide people through the entrepreneurial journey, through the marketing planning journey, make it really, really easy for people to create a marketing plan online and get a lot of education right there inside of the dashboard. So potentially moving through to a kind of software play. But again, that's something that we're tinkering with and playing with at the moment. And who knows if it'll fly or not, but we'll certainly give it our best go.
Well, I love the ambition, and I think it's a great time for the spotlight story. On each episode, I share an entrepreneurial journey to inspire our listeners, and I would love to hear your take on it. As we have an entrepreneur who is thriving in the marketing sector today, I will now introduce the entrepreneurial journey of someone else in that area, and Neil Patel. Neil is certainly one of the more well-known names in marketing, as he has done many talks and videos online that you may have seen at one point. I respect his endeavors very much, as he is always looking to help other marketers grow. He stays busy like most of you listening on, as he runs his own company, Neil Patel Digital, along with being the co-founder of Crazy Egg and involved with Uber Suggest. But it wasn't always like this. It's a great story for everybody listening. He started his marketing journey almost 20 years ago, back in 2001. He made his first website as just 16 years old and paid a couple of marketing companies to help grow it. However, he ended up getting ripped off, but it taught him a hard lesson, and he put it like this. He had to learn marketing because he had no choice. He became exceptional with these skills as time went on, and this New York Times bestselling author has been recognized by President Obama and the UN for his work. Allan, what do you like best about this entrepreneur?
I like best that he had no choice but to learn marketing. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Neil. I've seen a lot of his work. I think he's done amazing things. But really, I can certainly relate to that, where in my first business, I struggled to get new clients, new prospects in the door. And I also had no choice but to learn marketing. That took me on a decade-long journey, and I can certainly relate to that.
Yeah, well, I relate to it as well. It was pretty much why I picked up your book to start. I said, I have to change the way I'm doing marketing. I've been grinding for a while. Granted, it takes time and I have to be patient, but there could be something I'm doing differently. And I think your book will add a lot of value to my immediate future. But Allan, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know our listeners are going to see all the value in your episode. I loved how you really, really emphasized the process and learning from your mistakes. You kind of said how you could have hired someone earlier. You realized that you couldn't do everything on your own. And I think that's important for everybody listening on, because we all want to make it happen, but there are people who can help us in areas which we may be a little weaker. I loved how you resonated with the audience, where as a business owner, you're worrying about payroll, you are worrying about things, but it is normal and you're not alone. And I like your philanthropic deed at the end for your vision, where you're giving 1 million books to entrepreneurs. And that's incredible. But it is time for the last word. And I also do this on my other podcast series, A Mental Health Break with Vincent A, Lanci too, because I want the listeners to really get to know the guests I bring on. Is there something that you would like to share with everybody listening that we did not get to touch on yet today?
Yeah, so I think if you do anything in your business, if there's any skill that you want to improve, I believe marketing is the skill that you want to do, because it's the thing that will move the needle the most. It's the biggest leverage point in your business. If you get 10% better at negotiation or 10% better at financial analysis, that's great. That can have an incremental effect on your business. But if you get 10% better at marketing, that can have an exponential effect on your business. So I believe it's one of the biggest leverage points, and it's something that every entrepreneur really needs to master.
I agree. Would you now please take the time to share your professional social media, website, ways for our listeners to request your services or follow your endeavors?
Yeah, the best place is successwise.com. You can download a free copy of the one-page marketing plan canvas. You can grab the book on amazon.com. It's also very popular in audio format on audible.com. So they're probably the best places to engage.
Thank you for sharing that. And be sure to check out his social media, and you will find all his content on that website, successwise.com. And it is social media time for this show, and we're on whichever platform you like to use. We're at What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur on LinkedIn, at Your Favorite Morning Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and Podcasts by Lanci on Twitter. So you have updates from this show and a mental health break with Vincent A. Lanci. Of course, my handles are at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube. And my website is vincentalanci.com. If you check out my books, DM me. I would love to hear from all of you. We have Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health, Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption, and How to Transform Your Mindset When the Norm Is Changed. All are on my website now. And as always, I will end the show with a quote that inspired me and know it will for you too. This one is from Neil Patel, the entrepreneur from today's Spotlight story. He said, always treat your employees exactly as you want them to treat your best customers. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all on the next episode of What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur.